Hey everybody, how's it going today? This is Modesta Mahiga-Mbughuni from Purpose and Excellence. I have to do this real quick because I have a master plan class next. Now listen, I posted something yesterday and I'm sorry I posted something without giving you advance notice. I posted Step Out Boldly. This is going to be a one-day intensive that I invite you to participate in. I want to do things differently in 2020. And I pray that I'll be able to handle it. I'd like to give more people access to me. Not just simply to have access to me, but to have access, quick access at that. I can't even say the word access, to getting, around to articulating their issue, whether it is a workplace challenge, whether it is a business challenge, and quickly getting the solutions they need to take that next step, right? So you have this big dream or you have this big vision and there are a lot of things for you to do. Maybe you have a huge strategy, but you sometimes just need, what do I do now? Or I am stuck here. And it's at the very beginning, can you help me, Modesta? I don't want to take your courses. I don't want to be involved in too much for too long. And so whether you just want to book consultation with me, you can do that in 2020. I mean, you can do that from now, but this is especially for the people who just want to hear your input on something. Some people just want to sound things off of other people. Some people want a refresher and not necessarily to go and make an investment for a very long time. And so if this is something that moves you, I thought to speak a little bit more about it. Now, hey, Ernest, Wema, G. Killen, welcome. I've had a lot of people, and honestly, when I think of it, I'd be as bold as to say 97% of what people come to me with is challenges they have. And so they're saying, I'm not seeing things happening out there, or people not being receptive to me, or I'm not making inroads. There's certain things I'm not achieving, and it's because of my environment. It's because I come into context with family, with colleagues. I'm in partnership. There's a market, and they don't realize that it is them, and not even them that there's something wrong with you, but it's really the fact that there is some beliefs and behaviors they've adopted, and maybe at the beginning it was survival for them. It made sense to them. I mean, you might think this is crazy, but do you know that there are times that people would talk themselves out of things? Like they would sooner tell themselves they are less qualified, they're not deserving, anything. People will even go so far as to sabotage relationships so that they can prove to themselves that they're not cut out for this, so that they never attempt anything brave and bold and they don't get disappointed. And so because of the fear of what if I am rejected, what if I'm disappointed, what if it happens as it has before, we build up a whole other story of why we're just not the man or the woman for the job. We're just not the person to be counted on for that. We just can't do that. That is for them. And, they had it good. They started off this way. They started off with money. They have a name. They have a network. And whatever it takes for us to say that to ourselves, so that you're telling your mind to tell you, yeah, of course, but you're right. I mean, I completely relate. I am with you. I am with you. I am you. You're getting your mind and your emotions to agree with you. You are counting yourself out, and you find that by doing that from childhood till now, people are in 20s, 30s. I mean, most of the people I speak to are 30s, 40s, 50s. So, now in your midlife, and you're looking at what is to be of my future when I don't have as much strength. What is to be of my children? What is to be of my legacy later? You realize whatever it is you're thinking of attempting now that you are 30s, 40s, 50s, I've had 60-year-olds in some of my programs. You're thinking now, hey, Bella, thank you for that. Now you're thinking, I'm going to start a business. I have the time. Or I am going to do this and the other. But then you have had some self-talk for the past 50 years, or some of us maybe going 40 years, and now you want to attempt something bold. Maybe you have retired, or maybe now You're thinking, I'm done with working for somebody else. I'm going to do my own thing in business. Or now that I am older, I feel like, I should get into a, greater management responsibility. And we start from decades of counting ourselves out of certain beliefs and certain behaviors that say, yeah, well, so far, but not too far for you. So high, but not too high for you. And then now you think, after telling your mind, after telling your heart for decades that you're not it, or of believing, it could be family, it could be parents, it could be siblings, it could be people you've grown up with, it could be friends. After believing for so long, and maybe that is even the joke in your group, like so-and-so, yeah, no, they're not that, and you believe that, and maybe it's a common joke, like, yeah, like you can't trust them with that, we don't go to them for that, that's not their thing. And then now that you're making a decision to step out boldly, you realize you don't have it in you. You by yourself are so, congratulations, really, my birthday's on Saturday. Oh wow, congrats, Bella. Yay, I got my December sister. But anyway, moving on. Now that you want to step out boldly, you realize you have a whole lifetime of thinking of yourself this way, but that, nah, I don't think so. And you don't even need someone external from you to tell you that you don't have it. You've said enough of that to yourself. So part of this stepping out boldly is not just the things to learn, the things to do. Hey, Omar, welcome. The things to do. It's to step back and notice the things you have believed and a certain way you have behaved. So I just had a conversation with somebody who leaves work for less than a year. I mean, she goes from company to company to company, loves the work, but never stays. And, she's just come from a situation where she was fired. So I said, she gave me an example of a place where she stayed for 1 year. I said, why did you stay there? And she said, because I needed the money for school. And in this conversation, so she's just come out of this job and she's thinking, she even wrote, she's like, I'm going to die. I'm like, you're not going to die. And we had a conversation and this is what has come out. Well, first of all, she's an entrepreneur. Thank you. She's an entrepreneur. She's not cut off for employment, but she has an attitude now. And that attitude isn't just what she does to people, like, no, it's also beliefs that she has that say, I'm not going to tolerate this. I'm not putting up with this. And maybe it's a defense mechanism. And so she cuts things off and leaves. And so the first thing to do is these beliefs, these habits that she's created. We need to address those, because what I said is, even if we've identified and you feel better now knowing that I'm more of an entrepreneur than I am an employee, what you are leaving, so maybe you don't want to be under somebody else and you don't want to deal with all of that. You love serving people, but you don't like working with the people that you have to report to. Even if you remove yourself from that, I told her, you're also removing yourself from covering. You're also removing yourself from where you could be under someone else and learn. And if you do not change internally, if you do not change the beliefs and the behaviors you've had all along, you are now going to be that umbrella under which other people will come as an entrepreneur. And if you do not change that about yourself, they will leave like you were leaving the other places. And so we were really talking about how, when we were having conversation about the things that she would love to do, now that you're thinking as an entrepreneur, so, what is it you're going to go with? You're so skilled and so talented. She said, you know what? I did this, but then I stopped it. And that one, I don't know what happened to that one. Like, it seems like every time I want to do something, something happens. I said, we need to stop right there. Nothing is happening to you. Nothing just happens to us, guys. Of course, life can bring a stimulus, can bring a thing. That moment where something happens, maybe we can't always control that. But how that story continues and what it'll turn out to be, that is entirely up to us. It took me until 2017, a whole 37-year-old woman, 2017 for me to realize that the change that I seek, and I want to say this especially to people who are like, oh, what God has for me will always come to me. People cannot steal it. Yes, they can. And the first person who can steal what God has for you is you. You are the greatest influencer, the strongest voice, the strongest influencer in your own life. And so God can have a lot of things in store for you. You could be in the line to get a promotion. You are probably already being prepared in succession to take on a certain position. You have probably been singled out as a preferred vendor for a certain thing. But listen, whilst your gift may bring you before kings and greatness, your attitude, your character can take you back down. Now, I didn't come up with that. TD Jakes did. And so I said, no, things are not happening to you. So you started this and you stopped. And you said, oh, with the other one, I actually don't know what happened to it. Like, I don't know why they come and then things go. I said, you don't know why? You really don't know why? You make them come and go. Like, no one else has any power over you. You decide what you're taking up. You decide what you're dropping. And so if you feel like things are coming and going, that means you're taking things up and you're dropping them. You're taking them up and you're dropping them. You are doing it. I have a question here. How can we balance such a situation? You like the job, but you don't like people you're working with. Nice one. And so this is actually all going to be part of Step Out Boldly. And the beauty about this is Step Out Boldly is just a one-day course. It's just 5 hours that you spend with me. Now, how do you balance that you like the job, but you don't like working with people? Well, I once made this, I had this joke. Hi, one boy. Hey, Nirav. Hey, Nirav. Good to see you. So, Omar, there was this joke I once had. And I was like, God, you've created a great world. And this place would be amazing if there weren't any people in it. And I remember, I even shared that with my boss at the time, like 16 years ago. And I said, this company would do so well if it weren't for the people. Obviously, you're joking. But Omar, you cannot be a situation where you like your job, but you don't like people. What you might find, because people are everywhere, right? And the beauty of this existence is that you can't have everything in you. Even if you had a lot happening for you, you're one person, 24 hours, so much energy, so much focus. You will, even if you are really good at a thing, find at some point you'll have to find somebody else. You can get up to maybe even 70% of what you can do. It's just not sustainable to imagine a life without people. And so instead then, it's not a question of, I like my job, I don't like people, Modesta. It's not even a question about whether you like people or not. It might mean, Omar, apart from the things that you might have to work on, it might mean that you need to check how much power you're giving to people to influence you. One of the beautiful things that I've come to learn in adulthood, and maybe I learned it late, but hey, I've learned it, right? Is that I am me. I am responsible for my thoughts. So if I have any thoughts that come to my head that I do not want, I can stop them. And the way you stop a thought is with words. So you speak out against the thought that's coming to you. I am responsible for my emotions. I cannot say, you triggered me, and so that came out, you know what I'm like, and so you get what you get. Don't be surprised. No. We can control our emotions. We are not some machine that, once it's put on us, the lever is pushing a certain way, they're just going to keep going. No. We can stop. If you know that when I'm triggered this way, I usually do this and then I follow this. You can actually, even as you start, at any point in that cycle, that vicious cycle you go on, you can stop it. You can get off that train. You don't have to take the whole route just because you got that ticket. Get off that train. So I'm an independent person from everybody else. I'm responsible for my thoughts. I'm responsible for my emotions. I'm responsible for my actions. I'm responsible for my spending. I'm responsible for my eating. I'm responsible for my exercise and lack thereof. I am responsible for me. And then other human beings, even if there are spouses, even if there are parents, even if there are siblings, even if there are BFF at work, they're separate from us. And they can choose whatever they please, and that's their choice. Just as you can choose whatever you please, that's your choice, but do understand whatever choice you make, you will eat the fruits thereof. And so when you think of that, Omar, in this work context that you've just brought up, you come to understand that this is who I am. These are my values. This is what this is how the life that I want to enjoy. This is how I want to live. And they're separate and they make their choices. So I'm establishing my boundaries. I want to relate like this with people, and I would, and of course, we don't talk about personality. So if you're an introvert and somebody's an extrovert, and all kinds of different things, you know about personality profiling. I don't mean that you want people to be your personality, but I'm talking about values, of respect, and maybe it's working with excellence, or being on time, etc., or valuing family, or valuing people's faith. I speak of those, and so you conduct yourself that way. And you are then training people how to conduct themselves by you. I kid you not. Without having to speak and lay down the law and tell people how to act by you, you can, by the way you govern yourself. Remember, you're only responsible for yourself, and you can only really influence yourself. You can only change and move yourself. By the way you govern yourself, you are telling everybody around you, without actually telling them, without using words, that this is the person that I am, and this is how I conduct myself. This is how I conduct myself by you. This is where a relationship goes and no further. And so you do that. You allow people to make the choices they want to make. They just can't do that with you. And you move on. And so sometimes you find that you allow people to get to you because you're giving them a lot more power. You think it is their job to make you happy, their job to make you, to open doors for you and give you promotion, their job to consider you, their job to be courteous to you. Maybe courtesy is a big thing to you. It's their job to, they do them, you do you. But for as long as there is a relationship, you let them know how you conduct yourself and how you expect to relate. And every time, by establishing boundaries, and it doesn't even have to be like me, there was a time I call things what they are. I put you where you're supposed to be, and I walk. And I've burned so many bridges doing that. It is not sustainable. You have to have wisdom. And so, let's say somebody is doing something for attention. Nah. It doesn't bother you. You know who you are. You know why you're here. You know why you're working together. And you focus on getting the objectives met, because at the end of the day, you actually need them to meet your objectives. But you don't need to massage their egos. You find somebody is doing something just to get to you, you can completely ignore it. I mean, you can completely strip people of the power they're trying to have over you. And sometimes they're not even trying to have power over you. They're just being them. And it gets to you, it pushes your buttons, and you find yourself upset. Don't get upset. You do you move on. I mean, somebody told me I put earphones on at work. When I go to work, I put earphones on and I just move on. No, you don't even have to put earphones on. You can be present, but you remind yourself, I know who I am. I know what I stand for. I know what this context means. I understand that we have common objectives to meet, and this is how we'll go about them. The rest of that, that's up to you. Unless somebody approaches me and tells me something work-related, or even my attitude, that is getting in the way of work, and they're using the proper channels to do that, I will honestly ignore that. I will make sure that I'm amiable. I will make sure that I'm cooperative, so that we can achieve that which brought us together in a work context. You don't have to be held hostage by other people's decisions. That's them. I'm not even held hostage by my husband's decisions. I mean, there are times I would lose it. We are the same person, so what you do is what I've done. We go by this and that. Right now, this is who I am. This is what I do. These are my boundaries. These are whatever. I know my role by you. Tell me where I can do it better. But outside of that, I will not be taken up and down, up and down. No, they have a choice. So you're gonna be moody? I'll wait for you when you come out. I'm gonna be like, what's wrong? No. You want to talk about it? You know, I'm very open. You know, I talk. So I'll wait for you. And then after a while, it gets to be mature. Then you want to address a thing, then a thing, time is asked for and you address a thing. You've made a decision that would veer us off, maybe budget or whatever. Well, I guess you'll have to deal with that decision. Of course, that means then, if you're a control freak like Modesta, that means you're going to deal with certain things, the consequences of the bad decisions of somebody that you're yoked with, right? Somebody you're close to and you're doing life with. But they will deal with that, and maybe the pain of the wrong decision will get them to think, I am just not going to make that decision again. Or in some context, you can remove yourself. Like, okay, I am going to untangle us. We're too closely knit and you're making decisions that are affecting me. And that shouldn't be so. So you can untangle certain things, let's say in a marital situation. But if it's a friendship or if it's working together, there's some things that you say, okay, that's going too far. You're making decisions that are adversely affecting me, and therefore I need to take steps towards that. But if it's just behavior and people, don't give them that power. Remind yourself why you were there, what it is you're doing, and do what that is. But make sure that you're cooperative. Make sure that you're there to deliver, so that they could never slight you. Even if they're picking at you so that they can get it. Because some people will pick at you. They'll pick at you and you'll react, and then they'll say, you see, that's it. We're removing you. Or, don't even give them the benefit of the doubt. You're trying to pick at me. Instead of addressing an issue, you're looking for a reason. Not anymore. I do not give people reasons. I just stay. I smile. I relate with you. We continue. But I know exactly where I put you. I know exactly why I'm walking with you. And you stay in your category. I remove you. It's for a season. You need to know that. But at the end of the day, what have I done? I have determined what I am going to do now and where I want my life to go and how I'll get it there. And I understand I must do it in community, but I'm not going to be absorbed into things, and I'm not going to have my heart and my mind going crazy because other people and their decisions, they can. So you parents out there, let your kids deal with the consequences of their actions from as little as, a 1-year-old. They can make decisions, and then they will see the consequences. And I'm telling you, getting the effect, feeling the effect of the consequences of your action does a whole lot more for a child than spanking. Because now there's certain privileges they're withdrawn. Now they're not able to do certain things. Now they're not able to play with their toys because they broke them. Now they're not able to go so-and-so place. Now they didn't do this, and so they didn't get their allowance. So things like that. After a while, you're like, man, this is not worth it. Let me just govern my life a whole lot better, because the pain is. But if you do not allow people to make their choices and deal with the consequences of their choices, and you make yours and deal with the consequences of yours, it is going to eat at you. So going back, he said, thanks so much. That's very useful. It's just, I've seen people like the job, but not comfortable with people surrounding them. They have a choice. Some things are too far. You remove yourself, completely leave that job. Some things are just, you learn how to cope. And in a situation like that, there are only so many conversations. And some people you have conversations with that get worse. It's you. You're the only person you 100% sure will listen to you if you speak to you. And even you sometimes don't listen to yourself. And so you say, what are ways of coping with this? What are ways of governing this? Somebody was talking about getting a lot of interruptions at work. I said, why don't you, schedule that in? Especially when you're being interrupted by superiors. You can't exactly say, look, I'm busy right now. You can go to them, go to their office, humbly say, listen, because we're working on this thing and we need frequent meetups. Can we be doing 12 o'clock? I'll come to your office. Somebody else, you can get their favorite, drink or their lunch or whatever. And you're like, let's do this. So that way you're proactive. You're not getting the interruptions that are getting to you. You're not able to do what you need to do. And yet you're still getting the thing done, because sometimes people have the wrong approach, and when you push back, they'll say you're pushing back on the task. They'll say you're pushing back on the job. They'll say you're pushing back on the project, but that's not what you're pushing back on. You're pushing back on their approach. And so now you go to the front end of this issue because you notice that there's a pattern here. You notice that, or you even can see that there could be situations where this thing could be an issue. Then you go ahead anticipating that and create a structure, create a system. In a way, these people won't know. They won't even realize you're managing them. They won't realize that you are looking to get the best outcome, the most positive way that, in Swahili we say, hawata kupanda kichwani, that they won't get to your head. Bella said, that's so true about people who surround you at work. My side, everyone know when and how to approach me. and you do that, and it's not necessarily saying, oh, give them an attitude, put them in your place. No, you can do it with wisdom. You can, they know the times that are available if you've structured in time. Somebody could bring in a conversation, a work-related conversation, and then throw in something that is completely off, maybe just to test you, or want to bring in maybe the latest gossip or what, something else is happening. If it is not material to what we're here to do together, you won't even get me. Like, I can, honestly, these days, hear you. Even if you say nothing else except that one question, I can just look at you. Somebody recently has a friend who's joined the master plan class, and she said, oh, did my friend join? I said, have you joined? And she said, oh, I'm just asking because, she said she was thinking of it and wanted to know. I said, have you asked her if she's joined? And she said, man, your answers. I said, and maybe it's an innocent thing. Maybe it's just to say, yes, your friend joined the class. But what if she goes and says, hey, my friend said, you joined the class. Nice for you. And then this person is not comfortable during the course with me to let me know of the challenges that they have, because they're thinking, if they could tell my friend who introduced me that, I joined, then, Modesta's probably also telling other things. So you don't even want to leave that there. So to be able to step out boldly, going back to what I want to share, you need to understand you're 100% responsible for your thoughts, for your emotions, for your beliefs, for your behaviors. If there's something you've been carrying for decades and you think this thing's going to work against me right now, then it's time to turn it around. And you can turn it around. No matter what what you've done, no matter what people are used to you doing, like, we know you to be you. A person can always reinvent themselves. A person can always rebrand themselves, always. Which is why there's some situations where people remove themselves from a common group, from childhood friends, from people they've done life with so far, because they will keep telling them of the past, of the person they knew in the past. And you're looking to recreate yourself to be somebody else. So it is important for you to understand, if I'm 100% responsible for me, second thing, I am not at all responsible for other people and their decisions. That is all on them. Then I can also choose to undo anything I've built around myself so far since childhood and build something new. It gives you greater power. No matter what life has dealt me so far, hey, Boke, thank you. No matter what life has dealt me so far, I get to choose what I am going to do with it. So before, people say, I don't know what's happened. I don't know why things keep happening to me. I don't know why these things happen. I've heard a lot of that. And I say they happen because you let them happen. And sometimes to people, how dare you? Do you know what I've been through? Do you know the struggles? Do you know the challenges? Do you know what they did? And listen, I had a whole lot of that for a very long time. Because I kid you, I'm not even making this stuff up. I have had all kinds of crazy things thrown at me by people. Human beings. Let God be God and love his people. I love people too. But it's not them that wind me up where I am. It is me. So when I started this journey in 2017 to say, if I'm going to see anything new, God isn't going to suddenly drop money, going to drop people, going to drop... No. What is going to happen is that I will choose differently. I will choose to think, to speak, to act differently, and then I will see different. And I will choose to allow people to make their choices, including my spouse and my children, and deal with the consequences of their choices. Within that, you now know whatever decision I am making it consciously, I'm making it boldly. Whatever it is I want out of my life is like, God, please. Oh, God, 2020 is there. Lord, please, it's a whole new decade. Lord, years are going. Lord, my life. If anything is to be, truly it's up to me. I mean, even for people who are waiting on God, he says, whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven. Whatever you loose on earth will be loose in heaven. It's up to you. What are you binding? What are you loosing? What are you taming down? What are you amping up? It's up to you. You want to see different? You will have to do different. But it starts with knocking down those beliefs of yourself that say, I am not it, or I am this. You know, I was giving the example of the person I spoke with today. I'm like, you have an attitude. And I understand because I've had an attitude for a very long time and it hasn't served me well. So I want to tell you beforehand, don't wait till you're almost 40 to figure this out. Let's get this underway right now. And your attitude isn't just what manifests outside. Your attitude is what you have internally that keeps sabotaging you. It hasn't served you so well. So there's certain beliefs and certain behaviors that you think, and of course, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks, that stuff will come out. We need to deal with what is in there first, and then you will notice it come out differently if you want to have different outcomes from what you've had so far. And she's like, yeah, we'll do this. And the other thing is, now that you see, you know, I need to make different decisions. Yeah, it does, Bella. It starts with you. Now that you see that I have to make different decisions, you don't condemn yourself. You don't judge yourself. Me, people would think I'm unrepentant. But I truly am repentant to God and to people. But I do not sit there mulling over it. I don't wallow in it. I don't, oh my goodness, I don't believe it. A person like me, a person who professes to stand for Christ, a person who's supposed to be a leader and an example. How could I go through this? How could I end this in my marriage, this in my character, this in my finances, this in my... Listen, we make mistakes. We're just not all spilling out our stuff for everybody to know and to see. We all make mistakes. The greatest of the greatest that you look up to, spiritually, financially, whateverly. They all make mistakes. Some of them very silly. Some of them very base and banal. Some of them cosmic that cost them everything. And then you learn from it. So I told her, because she had a very dramatic exit with her, you know, the employer that just, you know, fired her. I said, you know, I'm not even going to touch that topic, right? I heard you. I spoke to you. One of the things I told her is like, you like purpose. Because if you had purpose, you wouldn't, this is, I mean, I would fire you, you know, so you need to get that sorted out. So that's number one, you know, so we spoke about that. So now that we're having another conversation, because now, you know, she's looking at what is next. I said, I'm not even going to touch that topic. I will never go back to that topic. I want you to get all the lessons learned from it. And we're moving on now with those lessons to do differently, with those lessons to go and help other people. We're not wallowing in, oh, if you had, it's done, it's happened. But the good thing is to learn from it, because this is it's been several incidences, similar incidences. So there's definitely learning to be done. And, you know, guys know me, I spoke as it was, because I want to help people. So I will tell you as it is when we have our sessions. And so she grabbed that. She's like, you've given me life. Like, I'm moving on with this. I'm like, yep, move on. Clearly you're entrepreneurial. Clearly you've got this, that, and the other going for you. So this, and this, which you're doing, go not only do it, go learn the business model of it. Learn from the best at it. Build it up. But until you're building up, how are you eating this month? Okay, so we also came up with a plan of how she's going to eat this month as she's building her dynasty and what she's going to do. Moved on. You are in charge. And this is what Step Out Boldly is about. You are in charge of you. So let's find out what you've been thinking, what you've been saying. Because, listen, when people come to you with, we're going to train, these are the 7 steps off, these are the 12, whatever, or these are the, you will grab them and you'll try to do them. And it's like faking it till you make it. And after a while, it won't work. Why? Because of your beliefs. And the thing about beliefs, especially negative beliefs, is it's all happening in your head. So people don't even know. You know, when you see somebody with a wound, then you're like, oh my goodness, what happened to you? Can I help you? It is visible. It's physical. But when it's your beliefs, when it's behaviors, when it's certain mindsets, it's all in your head. So people don't even know you're afflicted. People can't even help you because they don't even know that you're going through something. And you carry this year in, year out. You carry this for decades. After a while, that is the way you think. It's created a stronghold. That is how your mind is set. So everything that comes through, you filter it such as that. I would go to people who looked at me differently, who shrugged, who whatever, who whispered to someone. I'd be like, oh, is there anything? Stupid Modesta. Is there anything, you know, in there between us? I'll make appointments or whatever. I will call behavior out of. Now, you could look. You could not look. You could come. You could go. You could me to my face. You could spit to my face, but now that I know who I am and where I'm going, what is spit on my face? Even with my kids, I told them, listen, people have choices. If they're gonna let Satan use them as puppets, let them be used as a puppet. Are you a puppet? No. Are you gonna let Satan use you as a puppet? No. Move on. The kids say I move on with my life. I'm not even. Do not get bogged down on the little things of they said, they didn't say, they came, they didn't come, they said they would, but then they didn't do. People will make their choices. Don't even go, is it because that time when I went to their house, I wore the same dress as them? Is it because, when at church, they were supposed to have this lot, but I did? Is it because, at work, they wanted that promotion, but I got it? You don't know. You don't know what happened to those people. Maybe they just got bad news and they were phased out that day. And you think it's got to do with you. It got nothing to do with you. And even if it has something to do with you, what does that have to do with you? Even if people make a decision because of you, what does that have to do with you? You do you. You're in charge of your future. So your beliefs, your habits, you are in charge of where you're going. What other people do is none of your business. Completely none of your business. You let them do them. You need to focus on you. You're one person with 24 hours. And you probably have a family. Do you and focus on that which is within your control. The other thing that I'm going to do with this program is really talking about building character, building confidence. That's a big one. And building the competence for what you do. Because it's one thing, I am aware and I have a passion and I'm this, and it's another thing to actually have the skills. You might have the relatability, but if you don't have the skill and the competence, the credibility, then you're not going to go far. And so how to do that? And then this one is a big one, integrating the strategies, the system, integrating, the ways that you will make sure. So this is something else that is really key. It's one small thing, but it's going to make all the difference. And I think you guys are already using it in some areas of your life. When you change the environment, you will change behavior. You will change outcome. If you go to the supermarket full, you'll be less likely to just buy things that you see than if you go hungry. If you just take cash and you don't have any cards, you will just spend what you have and that's it. You will not go and spend extra when you go somewhere. There's so many things that you find that if you do them, if you create a structure, if you can reinforce it in an environment, like I say, smokers on a plane will not smoke even if they're chain smokers on the ground. And so there are ways, in a way of cheating yourself, of forcing yourself to stick to certain things that you now hold, as dear and important to you by changing your environment, by creating certain systems. And so if I have a vision, if I don't write it down and put it up somewhere where I can see it, chances are I'll just walk by it. If I want to do something by a certain date, or I want to make sure that I go somewhere a certain date, if I don't put it on my calendar and I don't get reminders, and I usually have, like if it's weeks ahead, I have 2 weeks before, a week before, and then I change the reminders to 2 days before, then I change the reminder to 1 day before, then an hour before and 15 minutes before, so that I can get ready. Like right now, I've got 9 minutes to the master plan class, because you guys know I gotta go. So do things, put systems and structures, including people. So one of the things, I gave my husband an attitude the other day, and I said, baby, you need to help me with that. That's disrespectful, and I don't want to disrespect you. So please say to him, and he says, what do I say to you? Like, you crazy, fiery woman, like what am I gonna say to you that, that you will not bite my head off? I said, you can just say your heart. That can be the code, your heart. So it's basically saying the things you're building up in your heart, Modesta, they're coming out. And you're coming out this way to me. And I said, obviously, because if I am flowing in whatever thing I'm doing at the time, you don't want to have a conversation, right? Angry woman, self-righteous, you do not want to have that conversation. So if he says your heart, and I've asked him, invited him, just say your heart. Even if I might say, don't tell me your heart, he got in. I got that. And if I truly mean to do well, by me, by him, by God. And of course, whatever you do in private, whatever you nurture and grow, then you're able to do better, convincingly, more powerfully in public, right? And so if if I can get that, and of course, it doesn't mean I didn't lash out. It doesn't mean I didn't criticize it. I did, but I didn't have to continue that whole cycle of that. I can retract that. I can repent there and then. I can ask for forgiveness. I can make good. Because I asked him to be my support by giving me that code, your heart. And so it could be systems, it could be technology, it could be, I'm trying to save. And so several of our kids go to the same school, we will carpool. There's so many ways, depending on what it is that your objective is, to do things differently in your life, to integrate the systems and the structures and the strategies to keep you honest, to keep you within your bounds, within your budget, within your limits, within whatever it is that you want to make sure that you not only start well, but actually master and sustain for the rest of your life. And then, what do I have here? Adopt the methods to repeatedly think, speak, act, dress, and present yourself. There's some things that come to me as second nature right now. I'll give you one, a very silly one. When I was 14, I read somewhere that if you hold your stomach in all day, like I do every time I'm around you guys, hold your stomach on. I also especially hold it around you guys because, hey, man, I'm on social media. But when I was 14, I read this thing that if you hold your stomach in, you clench your muscles, it is as good as doing sit-ups. And so since I was 14, or was it 16? Or between those two, I have been holding my stomach in all day, every day. And I ain't got the best abs on earth. And I don't know if it's got to do with that or it's got to do with my shape, figure, whatever. But I think that's also helped because I took a beating on my tummy with the girls. And so that is one thing. So that was one message. Hey, Isabel. Hi, Richard. Oh, okay, I've seen you. And Charles. Oh, Dr. Sokile. So holding my stomach in since I was 14, I'm now 39 on Saturday, has helped. And so, okay, maybe that's one little example. You're like, Modesta, what has that example got to do with me? It could be anything. It could be anything at all. But the first thing to stepping out boldly is making your mind that I'm going to step out. Second thing is there's certain beliefs and behaviors. Notice I didn't say people. There's certain beliefs and behaviors because people can do what they please. People are people. You are you. That you need to remove, including as what Omar was asking me about the context. I love my job. I just, not him, but, giving an example of people who say they like their job, but they don't like, the people. It could be the power that you're giving people. No matter what happens, it sounds so crazy. You are 100% responsible for the outcome. How things turn out, no matter how they started, who did what to what, you can choose how that thing turns out. But you're not going to have the confidence. You're not going to own your space. You're not going to own your influence until you own your journey. You own your process. You own your beliefs. How do I own my beliefs, Modesta? I inherited from my parents. Well, don't just inherit. Question. I mean, I am one person. Guys, do you know how many times I've been kicked out of churches since I was 8? Okay, they didn't kick me out, but they found me to be too much. In every context, I question. I'm like, if this is so, and God welcomes us to question. So you own your beliefs. What I believe in Jesus, I own it. I chose it. Nobody gave me that. I sat and I owned it. As a matter of fact, I resisted giving my life to Christ until I understood. And I remember this pastor, he laughed when I came back and I said, and I'm ready for baptism now. And he said, Modesta, why now? Because it was months and months since he was telling me the whole story of salvation and baptism. And I was like, wait. I said, I had to get it. And of course, it wasn't that I got it with my head. I got it in my heart. I got who this Jesus was to me. And I gave my life to him. But I own that belief. So the belief I have right now, I own it. And that's how I'm going down on this earth with him, with Jesus, my Lord and Savior. My beliefs, my behaviors, the things that I'm doing that are sabotaging me, I own them. So whether I own them and I want to get rid of them, or I own them and I keep them, but what's going to happen is entirely up to me. I own them. So when I can step out, whether you support, you don't, I'm going to step out boldly. When I step out and I'm making decisions and I know where I want to go, whether my bank account currently reflects it or not, I am stepping out boldly. Boldness doesn't mean I have it all together. Boldness doesn't mean that, when you check me out everywhere, I check out good. No, it means I am owning me. I'm owning my beliefs. I'm owning my behaviors. I'm owning the process around me. I am owning the decisions I'm making. I'm also owning the fact that I will not own you, and I'm not responsible for you and the decisions you're making. If I want to get a promotion, I will own that and do what it takes for that. If I want to start a business and for it to succeed, I'm sorry about that noise in my background, I will own that. If I want to change anything, including even my social and my economic status, I will own that and I will make decisions towards that. I want to say this for people who are in marriage. I started to do what I know God gave me to do. And I just did. I didn't do it with an attitude. I didn't sideline, my spouse, and I just did me. Praying that what it is that God wants us to do and be, that He will, knit us. Because sometimes, you're not seeing eye to eye. And in just doing me, owning me and just doing me, whatever outcomes I was getting, the results I was getting, whatever positivity that was coming out from them, that rubbed off on my husband. And so the changing him, which I tried, best believe, I tried, but I realized you don't do that. You own you and what you're responsible for, and do it to the utmost. And that will be your personal brand and your impact and your influence. And all that you want to attract to yourself will come after you say, if it's to be, it truly is up to me and nobody else but me. Thank you for your time. Going into the master plan class, if you want to learn more about Step Out Boldly, you can go to purposeandexcellence.africa and you will see that as a program. And if you just want to book some time with me, whether it's a discovery call, just to have a conversation about what you're facing and how you can, overcome that, or what are some of the strategies to cope with that, you can do that too on the site. So whether you just want half an hour with me, an hour or so or more, you can book that. You don't have to subscribe to a course, but you can. It's still a service though. You can have as much or as little time with me as you would like for the process that you're going through. Thank you so much for this time. I gotta go now. Got a class. I gotta own that. It's time. Much love. Mwah.